Hello, my name is Rebecca Simon. On behalf of the Cinnamon Production, I welcome our viewers. Our guest today is California's Assemblyman Kevin Kiley. Kevin Kiley was first elected to Assembly in 2016. He has his bachelor's degree from Harvard University, his JD from Yale University, and master's degree in Loyola Marymount, from Loyola Marymount. Kevin Kiley is now the Republican nominee at a newly formed district, District Number 3. He was endorsed by former President Donald Trump. Kevin Kiley, welcome to our program. We're very happy to be talking to you today.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's great to be with you again.
Kevin, I know that your district, District Number 3, is a geographically vast area. Could you tell our audience what cities are included in your district?
Absolutely. It is geographically vast. It covers 10 different counties, and the district is about the size of the entire state of West Virginia. It runs all the way from Lake Tahoe, actually north of there, down to Death Valley, covering hundreds of miles. And the largest cities are Roseville, Folsom, Rockland, Lincoln, El Dorado Hills, Granite Bay, Grass Valley, Nevada City. These are and a number of others, but it's a great part of the state, many great parts of the state, and a lot of the communities that I represent now in the state legislature are part of this district for Congress.
The Real Clear Politics a while back ranked your district as leaning Republican. How do numbers look for you these days?
Well, we're looking good. We've got a lot of momentum right now. We're getting a ton of support, and so I feel good about things, but it's going to be a close race. I'm against an opponent who's being funded by Nancy Pelosi and the National Democrats, and they're doing everything they can to try to stop us. They've been running hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of attack ads on TV on a weekly basis. In fact, the Sacramento Bee, which is a liberal paper, just did a piece saying that his ads are false. So they're trying to sort of lie and smear their way to victory, but we're fighting back with everything we have.
He does have deep pockets, as you're telling me, but I hope that people are wide awake and know who to vote for. When we look around in our country and analyze the state of affairs, we see a lot of disturbances and troubling times ahead. When you get elected to Congress, and I hope you do, there are a number of issues that I'd like for you to tell me how you're going to tackle them, how you're going to work towards them in Congress. One of the issues which is really affecting almost everybody is the economy, the reckless spending in Congress, and stimulus after stimulus has created an inflation. Interest rates are up, stock market is generally down. Now, when you go to Congress, what are you going to do to take care of this runaway and roaring inflation?
Yeah, well, you said it, Rebecca, and that is that we need to stop the totally reckless, out of control spending. That's what's caused the inflation. There's no great mystery about that. I mean, we ran up trillions and trillions of dollars worth of deficits the last few years. And so we need to reverse that immediately. We need to also roll back all of these regulations that the Biden administration has put in place, the new taxes. We need to end those. And we need to get our workforce fully activated again as well to get people back to work. That's what it's going to take to turn the economy around. But people are really struggling right now with this just record inflation, with soaring grocery prices, soaring gas prices. Again, in California, we're now at over $6 a gallon. Once again in California, which is $2.77 higher than the national average. So it's getting more and more difficult for families to get by here, and it's a direct result of failed government policies at both the state and federal level.
What are you planning to specifically do? What kind of policies and bills and laws do you think we need to do besides doing away with some of the regulations, reining in perhaps spending?
Well, yes, that's the first thing is we need to rein in spending to get our government down to a manageable size to, end this just complete spending spree, which now Biden and Pelosi want to continue with some of their recent legislation. And then we need to, of course, roll back regulations. I think we need to lower taxes. We need to stop paying people not to work as opposed to paying them to work. There's a lot of issues with our supply chain as well. The port in LA, Long Beach, is still a total mess because of a lot of terrible policies. AB5 is another example. That's taking many truckers out of the workforce, and that's just about the issues related to the economy. There's a whole host of other issues like immigration and crime that we need to tackle as well.
About a decade ago, so that's a while ago, the Center for Immigration Studies estimated that illegal aliens cost about $746 billion a year to the taxpayers. Our borders are open. Illegal aliens are flooding our borders, especially Martha's Vineyard. That was a joke. And what are we going to do with this sieve that's called the border? It's not sustainable. We cannot accommodate half of the world into our country. What needs to be done?
That's right. Well, it's become completely untenable. And, what needs to be done is we need to return to the policies that were working. We had policies that were working. We were building a barrier. We had the Remain in Mexico policy, which Joe Biden reversed. We need to beef up our border security agents as well and other types of surveillance at the border. And we need to stop, providing handouts, benefits to those who are in the country illegally. California just passed legislation to provide free health care to all, illegal immigrants in our state, which is just a really absurd proposition and certainly doesn't help to in any way stem the tide of those coming across the border.
California does have a lot of trees, but the money doesn't grow on them. And I just don't know how Governor Newsom is going to take care of healthcare. Healthcare is very expensive. And these people probably haven't had proper healthcare all their lives, and they need a lot of attention. It's a really big problem. And there's some number of the illegal aliens crossing our border since Biden took over, about 5 million. That's just unsustainable. And they keep coming. And I hope that people realize what we're facing. It is an insurmountable problem for our country. Fentanyl is one of the byproducts of illegal immigration, people coming over the border and bringing in the deadly fentanyl. 100,000 of our young people died about a year ago. So there are a lot of problems with illegal aliens that Congress really should get serious about.
Well, that's right. No, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
Now, you and I both live in California. I don't know about in your area, but in our area, there are a lot of homeless people. And this isn't unique to California. There are other states, especially blue states, that are facing this issue. What is a remedy for these thousands of homeless people? I know you and Gallagher, Assemblyman Gallagher, wanted to audit the homeless budget, and you were not allowed. What do we need to do about homeless issue?
Well, there's a lot we need to do, and it's worse in California than anywhere, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, even though we're spending more and more money, which is why I wanted to audit all the spending. And Newsom has made it so we spend 28 times as much on homeless as we do when he started. We used to spend 500 million, now we're spending 14 billion, and the problem only continues to get worse because the money, who knows what's happening to the money? That's why they don't want to do an audit. A lot of it feeds this homeless industrial complex. But this isn't brain surgery. We can look at what some of the other states have done that has made it so their homeless problem has gotten better while ours has gotten worse. First of all, we need to have better criminal laws. We've liberalized a lot of our criminal laws and released folks from prison early, and then they go back on the street. They have nowhere to go. Law enforcement has no means of dealing with them. And then we also need to make sure that they're connected to the sort of services that will allow them to get over the problems that are associated with needs substance abuse treatment.
And then we have, like I told you, there is an unbelievable number of issues facing America and its citizens. Another problem is crime. Crime is rampant. In many areas, we see video after video of people just pouring into stores and just grabbing and going. It just doesn't seem like there's accountability. I don't know if those people who rob stores face criminal prosecution or they just are gone. I mean, we do have videos of them, but of course the police is defunded. I don't know how much police force and detective work there is to take care of all these criminals. But what needs to be done about that? People feel very, very unsafe, even in the best of the areas.
Well, that's right. I mean, in Los Angeles, they tell you not even to go outside wearing jewelry now because, you'll just be, mugged the next thing you know. I mean, it's just horrifying that people have to live in these conditions in America. That's not the way things should be. And we've decriminalized a lot of very serious, types of crime. In California in particular, with Prop 47, Prop 57. We've really taken away the tools that law enforcement needs to hold people accountable. And then the defund the police movement has, of course, weakened the law enforcement even more. And so criminals have just been allowed to engage in rampant criminal activity without consequence. I mean, you have Starbucks pulling out of Los Angeles. You have Walgreens pulling out of San Francisco. They just cannot do business because there's no means to monitor the theft and violence and open drug use that happens in and around their establishments. And so this has been a failed experiment with allowing Soros DAs and radical liberal criminal laws, liberalization of the criminal code to pass, and we need to reverse course in this state and a lot of other places across the country.
I commend San Franciscans for recalling Chesa Boudin, their DA, but in LA, it was quite different. DA Gascon, we were not able to recall him, which to me, it looked a little suspicious. Almost 30% of signatures were disqualified. That is a high number. Nevertheless, he's still in, and it's business as usual, which is like you said, people can't even wear their jewelries. They're facing constant threat. It's psychologically very painful to be living in an environment like this. There is another issue that concerns me and a lot of other Americans years and years and years ago in America. For instance, if a restaurant didn't seat a person for whatever reason, they said, don't come in, we won't seat you. That was a bad thing for the restaurant. They faced prosecution, discrimination, and people's civil liberties were violated. But now, half the population of the US, the ones who Hillary Clinton called the basket of deplorables and Joe Biden called terrorists, cannot get on the social media and YouTube and exchange their ideas, their political ideas. They're canceled left and right. And as you know, President Trump was one of those people who was canceled. And Congress, okays, they bring Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and say a few things, ask a few questions, and then it's business as usual. What should Congress do, and what will you do when you get to Congress I see it as a civil rights violation of half the country. What will you do so that the social media companies will treat everybody equally?
Well, it's a great question, and this sort of censorship is appalling. And nothing could be more un-American than saying that you don't have the right to speak freely. And it's even worse since this censorship tends to be completely one-sided. So as Congress seriously needs to look at some of the liability protections that are in place for these social media companies that has allowed them to engage in this form of censorship with impunity. But what we also need to do is investigate the linkage between the government and the social media companies, because we've seen a lot of examples where these companies like Twitter and Facebook are taking down posts on the orders of the government, and that's a violation of the First Amendment. When the government is engaging in censorship, it doesn't matter that they're having a private company do it on their behalf. It's still considered a government action. And when the government takes action to restrict speech, that is a classic violation of the First Amendment, and it's completely unconstitutional.
This blatant censorship has gone on for at least 3 years, and the blatant part of it. Maybe it was being done a little more, carefully, and nothing has been done for 3 years. Nothing. People are still getting censored, and Congress isn't doing anything about it. Nothing constructive, and that's something that is really, I have a beef with that. In 2020, we Americans saw fraud happening in the presidential election. We always felt that we will voice our opinions and voice our rights at the ballot box. And that was a dream. That didn't happen in 2020 election. You will soon be having votes to determine your fate in Congress. Have you thought about placing any controls at the ballot box, so as much as you can reduce the amount of fraud or prevent it in any way?
Well, sure. Our local Republican Party has ballot security teams, election integrity teams that are keeping a close eye on things. There are groups like Election Integrity Project that have recruited people to be poll watchers. So we're putting as many eyes on the ground as we can, because we just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and assured that their vote is going to be counted. That's the way democracy is supposed to work.
I hope so. I hope that there are enough controls, not just for your race, but races all throughout the U.S., so we can have election integrity, which is paramount for our democracy. Kevin Kiley, how can people who follow you and want you to win and are your supporter contact you? And what is it that you need from them?
Certainly. So you can go to my website. It's electkevinkiley.com, where you can scan the QR code there, and it'll take you there. We're trying to fight back against a total deluge of funds from my opponent that he's using to run lies and negative attack ads. So we're trying to fight back by getting the truth out, and that takes funding to get your ads on the TV. So if you can help out, that would be fantastic. That'll help us to get out the truth and win this race, which is going to be really important for getting the whole majority in the House of Representatives and making sure that Nancy Pelosi's time as Speaker is over.
Amen to that. Kevin Kiley, people look around them and they see everything is trouble. And I've always said that, and I will continue to say it, and I'll say it again here now. There is some voters have cognitive dissonance. They see their political system in shambles, but for some reason they don't connect the dots that what they see politically is directly correlated to the way they vote and the people they get into the office. And I think once people learn to be able to connect the dots, and if they want to make change in their life, in their environment, and in their country, to think about how to vote and to bring the change, they have to ask themselves, how do I make the change? Well, you can do it at least two ways. You either run for office and make the change, or bring in somebody into the office to bring the change. And I believe, Kevin Kiley, you are the change. You are the one who was courageous, and you and Assemblyman Gallagher successfully sued Gavin Newsom for running a one-man show and passing laws unilaterally using the emergency declaration and the emergency powers. Of course, the Court of Appeals overturned, but you were courageous. And I do hope that December 5th, I think, is your last day in Assembly. And I hope that the day after election, I will call you Congressman-elect Kevin Kiley, and then later on, Congressman Kevin Kiley. I wish you all the best, and please vote for Kevin Kiley, help him, support him. He is the man for change that we need. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for everything you're doing to get out the truth. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Again, please go to the QR, which is at the bottom left of the screen, and put your cameras on that QR and go to Kevin Kiley's website. And please help as much as you can. He will fight for all of us. He needs to be in Congress. Thank you very much for watching our program. Until next time, goodbye.